afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Geoff, where our mission is to inspire, empower, and encourage people to become aware of the magic and the gift of mastering that chatter in your head, right? You know how you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I could where's my snooze? Let me grab the snooze and go back to sleep. When you have a big day, right? Or you went to bed with all these great plans and you didn't sleep that well. So you're just grinding away, you're setting yourself up for a very difficult day. And being able to take control of that conversation in an instant and say, hey, although I didn't sleep last night, I'm grateful to be here today and look out world, because here I come, baby. Oh man, what a difference. And there's magic in that, right? And listen, our whole purpose with our guests is to kind of help make you understand and see how ordinary people are doing extraordinary things, and they're doing it because they've decided to make a decision about what they say to themselves about themselves. And more importantly, this is just a Geoffism as we go along, is that, it's not only the internal message that we have going on in our head, but it's the outside chatter, the external noise that we all can control. And you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm guilty of it too. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Netflix binging on some great shows and they have them, or listening to too much news, or, losing sight of the things that we can control, because all the politics and all those things out there in the world, we can't control them, number one, and no one's coming to save you, number two. So we really have a purpose and a gift, to be able to become aware of and pay attention to, and then take action, simple action on making sure that we set ourselves up to win, baby, right? To stay empowered, encouraged, and inspired to make a difference in our lives and those around us. So those of you that are new, we welcome you. Those that have been following us, we really appreciate it. You know the drill. Subscribe, like, and share. Blow it up, baby. Make sure you're liking this thing and getting this thing out there as many people as you can. We appreciate your support. We've got some great things planned for 2023. It's up to us in 2023. All right, let's make this stuff happen. So anyway, let me get to our guests. We've got a young man that is really just a tremendous guy. He's very humble. And I met him as a result of COVID and how the world has changed communication-wise, and how, we can reach out and touch people all over the planet. Oh man, what a gift. This young man he's been in the business for a long time. He's an expense reduction analyst, professional at it, been over 40 years in the business. And he's been on his own since 2020, and he's done some amazing things in helping businesses reduce their costs in a way that he's going to tell you a little bit about, but it's kind of clever, and it's not what you think it is. So please don't tune out if you've been, dismissed because of reductions. Don't go away. He's not talking about you. We want you all to listen, get out your pen and paper, and let me bring to the stage, let me see, I'll make sure I'm not missing anything, my friend and a really great guy, Mr. Bob Molony. All right. Let me get you up here, Bob. What's up, Bob?
Hello, Geoff. How are you?
Oh, man, doing well. Thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, we're glad you took the time out to come out here and hang out with us for just a few minutes, man. We know you're a busy guy doing a lot of great things. And so why don't you just tell the people who you are, and then we'll kind of get into some different things.
So I'm Bob Molony. I'm in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, and I'm a consultant. And my business is expense reduction analyst. I work with business leaders to help them find opportunities to reduce expenses in areas they didn't consider possible. And I don't do anything about reducing their headcount.
Yeah. That's an important piece. Say that one again, Bob, that last part you said. I think people need to hear that.
That is really important. So everything that I do is in an effort to try to fund or find additional cash flow to retain and hire new staff. I don't do anything to reduce headcount. And I try to help businesses to execute above their plans based on being able to find additional opportunities within their supplier base.
And what kind of ways, Bob, are they obvious things, or are they things that you kind of like have created that most businesses don't look at? Talk about that.
Well, that's a great question, Geoff. So some of the things that we do are I would say they're considered proprietary, but essentially ERA is able to help businesses in areas where potentially they don't have the expertise or they don't have the resources to really dig deep and find opportunities to save. So just to give you an example. So businesses typically look at their printers and copiers every 3 to 5 years as their lease agreements expire. And they're very complicated. They involve a troika of the manufacturer, the dealership, and the leasing company. And because they're only looking at them so infrequently, that they're not necessarily going to have all of the ins and outs of ways to be able to find opportunity. So our analysts that specialize in that particular area, they're doing 12 or 15 of those deals every year, so that they're very much involved with it, and they understand the ins and outs, and typically they find significant savings.
Well, I have to tell you too, back in another life for me, I was that guy out there pushing those products to people. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So those of you in business that you have, that those systems floating around everywhere, I mean, I really just make a note to make sure you reach back out to Bob in that space. So that's good. Bob, what else from there? Then what happens? You find someone, you go, you show them some savings. What happens next?
So Geoff, that's a great question. So we typically follow a 4-step process. The first step is to complete a front end analysis that determines what the spends look like as of today. That shows the client why they're spending what they're spending. We understand who the stakeholders are, what the client's needs are, what the processes are that are included in creating those spends, and that helps us to understand whether or not there is opportunity. The next step, excuse me, the next step is to be able to go out to market and return to the client with a set of options or recommendations that includes the incumbent supplier at a reduced cost, as well as alternatives at a reduced cost, as long as the service level and quality is equal or better. All along the way, it's the client's selection in the process. They choose which categories to pursue. They choose which is the best option for them. 70% of the time, the best option for the client is to maintain the incumbent supplier because of the limited risk that's involved. Right. Our next step would be to implement any changes that are to be required, and then we monitor those expenses over 24 months, all the way ensuring that the contractual agreements are being kept on the invoicing side, and we're always positioning the client so that they can sustain those savings long term once we've left.
Yeah. So after 24 months, you come back to them that you got this big bucket of money, you saved them. What happens next generally after that?
Well, actually, probably the fun part about it is being able to know what the client did with that extra money. So were they able to save? Were they able to save staff? Did they invest in a capital project that increased their ability to produce product and drive revenue? Really, that's really what it's about. It's not necessarily so much about the savings. It's what could I do with an extra $250,000 a year? What could I do with an extra $1.5 million a year? And being able to put that to good use.
Yeah. What's ringing in my head, Bob, is reallocation of funds to capitalize on the savings.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. What business owner wouldn't want that? So what types of businesses fit into what you look for, Bob, in terms of revenues, employees?
Well, typically I look for businesses that are producing revenue between 5 and 250 million, but I'm going to say the sweet spot is probably closer to 5 to 50 million.
Okay.
I like working with manufacturers, OEM manufacturers, consumer packaged goods, and food and beverage manufacturers particularly, and then also I like working with senior care and assisted living facilities as well. And when ERA is able to provide expertise in a broad range of categories that ranges from uniforms and linens and food services to shipping and freight, factory consumables, IT, telecommunications, insurance, just to name a few.
Right. Well, that's that's a big, powerful, small group of businesses, Bob. And as I listen to you, I'm thinking 5 to 50 million. There's a lot of businesses in that space, and from the beginning of our conversation, they all kind of like me. They're still using paper. They're still, still copying machines are part of their business process. So,
oh yeah,
So
office supplies is definitely a place where there's opportunity to be saved in both, and it's not always about the price, Geoff. It's really about quality of service and how well the client is being treated. How well the client is being treated in terms of where that supplier is in their ranking can make a difference. And suppliers play a very integral part in what the company ultimately produces, because there has to be a partnership there. A lot of communication it needs to be involved, and the supplier needs to be on board with what the client's needs are. The client needs to understand what some of the supplier's obstacles are, and it really plays hand in hand.
Yeah. So I wrote down some things around, like, it kind of depends on how the ranking is with that, and then the partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've got over 40 years in the business in different spaces, do you help companies kind of figure out, or either the vendor or the company with that?
Well, Geoff, let me clarify for a minute. So I spent 40 years in the accounts receivable management industry. So I managed call centers for predictive dialing in the debt recovery business and business process outsourcing. I started my business with ERA in 2020.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to leverage my experience in my previous roles to be able to deliver best in class results for clients as a consultant with expense reduction analysts.
Yeah, because in those previous roles, what are some takeaways that you use now in your current role that you found to have some success with?
Well, that's a pretty tough question, but when you work in the debt recovery business, you have to. It definitely is an educational experience. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of considerations. You learn about being able how to recover money, how to speak to people, doing analytical work, because the business itself is very competitive. You need to have a competitive edge using analytical tools to be able to use your head to save your heels, shall we say?
Yes.
So in that respect, I try to take some of those learnings and apply it to what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Well, and when I think of debt reduction in that space, the horror stories that you hear, people from collectors, all that whole industry.
Mm-hmm.
When I see you, it's like, man, you're definitely a little different in your personality and how you treat others from what I've seen so far. So it's got to be a bonus for you.
No, you make a good point. Well, and I have to say this, Geoff. So the debt recovery business has had a bad reputation in the past, not necessarily well deserved. There's a lot to be gained by having effective communication skills, helping people that are in debt. They don't like to be in debt. They don't want to be there, and being able to provide some guidance on how helping them to get out, being understanding, and I want to say, negotiating cooperatively can really go a long way.
Yeah. I like the word negotiating cooperatively, together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. And so let me move along here, and then let's talk about, so you're 40 years as an employee?
Correct. I worked 40 years as an employee.
4 years as an employee. So here you are now, and I think from our discussions earlier, they come along and decide they don't need you anymore. And so now tell us about how that was, man, because I'm sure you're not the only one that's been through that.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely not. So something, Geoff. So I always had aspired to be in business for myself. I didn't really know for what or what type of business would be right. But so when I was furloughed, I started looking for a job, and I ran into a gentleman who was a franchise consultant. And at first I was skeptical, and I continued to look for a job. But the more and more I talked to him, the more and more appealing the idea was, the more doable, I want to say, the being able to make the leap was. And so I made a decision in the summer of 2020 to move forward. I felt confident that I could leverage my skills from my past experience to be able to do this. And from my perspective, it's the best decision I've ever made. As a matter of fact, I wished I did it a number of years ago. But you and I met through networking. I met someone through networking, and we had this similar discussion. And she said, well, it probably wasn't the right time. So
Yes.
You kind of have to take it in stride.
Yeah. No, and I believe that. I mean, it's easy to kind of look back there and say, oh, man, I wish I could have, I wish I would have. But, like you just said, Bob, I mean, I believe things line up. And what do they say, when the student is ready or the teacher appears, however that might be, the opportunity presents itself and you took advantage of it.
Yeah. And you have to lean into it.
You got to lean into it. And if I'm not mistaken, 2020, that was 6 months into COVID, wasn't it? I mean, so we had.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was 6 months into COVID. So I got furloughed shortly after the shutdown, and then so I spent the summer. Everyone was in lockdown.
Yeah.
What was I want to say, what was presented as a challenge was not a challenge to me. So I had met a lot of people who felt that networking virtually was difficult because they were accustomed to face-to-face meetings. For me, that's how I learned it. In my past life, I had a network, but I built it over a number of years, and I wasn't working at it by any means. So when you're an entrepreneur, you really have to take a completely different approach. And so I tried to, as best as I could, to adapt to the circumstances. And there's a lot of benefits to what's come out of COVID, with being able to have virtual meetings and talk to people over Zoom that could lead to a face-to-face meeting where it actually is worthwhile and makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I love that. And I made a note of what you said. What was presented as a challenge wasn't a challenge for you. So people are out there like Bob that are sitting there wondering, thinking about, can I do this? He just laid it out there for you. Because that you could look at it one or two ways in that situation, and you chose to look at it as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started talking about all the other benefits that have come out with the Zoom meetings and all the other things that you've done. So was there any other time you had a little bit of doubt, a little bit of hesitation? And if you did, how did you overcome that?
Geoff, I have to say, every day I have a little bit of doubt. Every day I have a little bit of doubt, but you can't let that get in your way.
Yeah.
You just have to keep pushing forward, do the best you can, try to present the best options, provide value for clients. And when it comes right down to it, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It really isn't about me. It's about the people that I can help and influence.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot in those few sentences, man. It's not about you, and it's about service and adding value. So wow. Hey, so I'm someone out there, I'm looking for an opportunity, not sure what. Is what you're into now, is it exclusive franchise, or is it an opportunity for folks that may be interested in getting into that? How you mind talking about that at all?
Well, I can tell you that it is an opportunity. There's always opportunities to get involved in franchising, and it's not so. I think that the concept of franchising, which is the way I looked at it, I was thinking in terms of McDonald's and businesses like that where franchise owners would, but there are a lot of actual affordable opportunities to get involved in a franchise that enables you to be in business for yourself, but not be in business by yourself. So, and I can say that ERA is always looking for new consultants that can benefit from this and thrive in a business environment where we're probably facing some of the biggest challenges we've ever faced.
Yeah. And with all those challenges, how do you guys feel as an industry or as a company in this uncertainty? I mean, what are you hearing? What can you share, if anything?
Well, it's Geoff. That's a great question. So it's important to understand the market, understand what influences are causing pricing to be what they are, and being in a position to understand what goes into a product and how you can potentially negotiate to get best pricing. A lot of businesses or their procurement departments, they're comparing their pricing against themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If they're smart, they're comparing their pricing against their competitors. That can be challenges in some cases, but being able to really understand the market can make the difference. And we're in a position where we're able to rely on almost 30 years worth of benchmark data that really helps us to be able to understand those markets.
Well, yeah, 30 years is a long time, man. I mean, there's a lot that happens in those 30 years that certainly are consistent, right? There's patterns that come from that,
Mm-hmm.
that help new business owners. And you said something about you don't have to do it alone. I made a note of that, as a franchisee in the franchise world,
Mm-hmm.
you're versus an entrepreneur who oftentimes is a solopreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Swimming in the sea all by themselves. How's that unity and resources around you help you grow your business?
Well, probably the best part about it is just that the ERA network is very, very deep. All of the experts that we have on board are always willing to help, lend a hand. Even whether it's a sales opportunity, the analytical team is willing to step in and provide their expertise. There's a lot of situations that come up where you'd have to do a little research before you step into one of those calls, and they're always willing to help.
Yeah.
I've already attended 2 annual conferences, and the camaraderie and the wealth of information that's shared has been a tremendous benefit to my business as well.
Yeah, I like that. And some of my business associates are part of similar types of franchise businesses, and they love the support. So as part of our show and part of our mission, those of you listening to this, here's clearly an opportunity to step into something that, as Bob mentioned earlier, I don't think it has the price tag of a McDonald's franchise, and may not require as much expertise in certain areas that you might be able to do what he has done, and take away the excuse that you can't find something to do or you need some help in doing something. And Bob, as we wrap up the conversation, I'm gonna make sure that you leave some parting thoughts. One around someone that might be where you were when you first got furloughed. You talked a little bit about. Was there anything else that you could leave our guests that they can take away today and change the situation by making a different decision?
Geoff, when it comes right down to it, you have to have confidence in your own ability to be able to take charge and can control your own destiny. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged when you're faced with a hardship, shall we say?
Yeah.
But if you give up, you're going to end up with not so much. If you take the steps to improve your situation, there's always opportunities to improve.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. Thank you for that. And that fits everybody. So hey, everyone can make a decision to grow into what he just shared. So Bob, how do we get a hold of you? And is there anything else you'd like to offer to the audience before we wrap up?
Well, I can be reached very easily at B Molony, BMOLONY at expensereduction.com. And I would like to share that we're in a position where we can take a look at any business's expenses to provide an opportunity assessment using a proprietary tool by ERA called SpendView, which really has a way of being able to allow you to look at your expenses through a different lens and show you what the opportunities might be.
And for someone interested in that, Bob, will they just reach out to you? And is there a cost associated with that?
That is at no cost.
Okay.
There's no cost. They could reach out to me, and I'd be happy to get it set up.
That almost sounds like a no-brainer for those of you out there that are looking for that. And I wish I had met you, Bob, when I had 30 employees in another business, and we were always trying to figure out ways that our blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and your service kind of opens up a lot of blind spots.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And so listen, man. Again, thank you so much. I always enjoy chatting with you. And for those of you that make sure you reach out to Bob, take him up on the SpendView opportunity. I've known this man now for a while, and what you see is what you get. And so don't miss out on an opportunity, especially now with all the uncertainty going on in the business world, and you've got a group of people that you want to keep and you're looking for someone that can help you, give you cash back where you can reallocate and continue to grow and operate in your business. Wow, we really appreciate you, man. You take
Geoff,
care.
I appreciate you having me. This has been really a delightful conversation.
Yeah, well, we love delightful conversations, man, especially with people that know what they're doing. And you, my friend, do. So you take care, and we'll talk to you again soon. Huh?
Thank you, sir.
All right, Bob. Thanks, buddy. So, hey, listen, you know what? Oh, man, what a great way to start the year. When you hear this, make sure you get the information out of the chat. Take Bob up on the opportunity to do the SpendView. Let him do an assessment on what's going on. And again, in operations with Fortune 200 companies back in my corporate days, or areas of your own business, these things that he's talking about, they are real. And there's money just sitting around on the table. So take advantage of this opportunity. Make sure you call him, find him if you can't get a hold of me. So as we wrap up, always leaving you with a little homework. We talked about it earlier, and it's really simple. When you wake up in the morning, we have two choices. When you go to bed at night, you have two choices. I have my finger up as one, two choices. And those two things are, which way do you want your energy to be for you? Because they connect, your thoughts and your energy connect. And it's either going to pull you down or it's going to lift you up. And like Bob said, have some confidence in yourself. If you don't have confidence, I get it. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And man, I wondered if I could ever achieve certain things in my life. So I'll leave you with this. Confidence starts with a decision to make something different in your life. Pick something that you can control. Whatever it might be. I mean, something that you can change right now, right? I mean, something that you can go away from this conversation, decide to do it. You write it down and you look at it throughout the day and you take little steps towards making that happen. In your relationships, in your health, and in your business. 3 categories that Conversations with Geoff is going to focus on this year: community, wellness, and business. And what a way to kick it off with our guest, Bob Molony. Make sure you reach out to him. Share this information, subscribe to it, help us grow this message to 20,000 people by year end. That's our goal, and we know we can do it with you folks. So listen, gotta go. Do something kind to yourself. Encourage and inspire and love the person next to you. We'll see you later.